Jonathan Bocher. I want to thank you for dropping by and checking out the lesson. Today I want to give you a really brief introduction to how you can use music theory to actually really unlock the bass guitar fretboard. And in a moment here I'm going to show you the major scale. Basically everything I was just playing there wasn't prearranged or anything like that. I was just jamming around on a simple 1-4-5 progression in the key of G, C, and D. And then on top of that I was using some theory, some intervals out of this scale to create some cool little fill notes and riffs and stuff like that. And all an interval is the distance between two notes. So anyways, let's zoom in here and I'll show you the major scale just in case you're not familiar with that, and see how that relates to theory. Alright, so hopefully you're familiar with the major scale. If not, it goes like this. We're going to start it on the G note. You'll see I have a 5-string bass. Don't worry about that for now. You can just ignore this string right here, okay, the lowest string. I'm not going to use that today, just to keep the playing field level for everybody here. So on the 3rd fret, on the 4th string here, we have a G note, okay? So that's the root of our scale. So we're going to use that, and the major scale goes like this. Then we can go back down. We end on the G again. Okay, so without getting into anything too complicated here, let's just give each of those notes a number. So if we're going to start on the G, we'll call that a 1. So that's 1. Then we'll go up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want to show you how you can actually approach the bass from a perspective of numbers and patterns. So if we look at that, we can then make intervals between those scale positions, and an interval is just the distance between two notes. So for instance, 1 and 5, right? Does that sound musical? Yeah, it sounds pretty good, right? What about 1 and 4? That sounds good too. Or 1 and 3. So you can see how those numbers actually work quite nicely from a musical perspective, and we can take that and apply it. Now if we move this scale around, and I realize this might be a bit advanced for some of you, but what you can do is you can actually take this pattern that I've just shown you, and you can apply that anywhere on the fretboard. Now you can use that same pattern. If we move it up, I moved it up 2 frets, so I started on the root of A, and now it becomes an A major scale. Can you see how that's the same pattern, but I've just transposed it by moving that exact same pattern? So what you can do then is use these intervals and the numbers to make some really cool music. And at the beginning there I was just playing around with some different things, and right there you can see I've just used thirds and then moving the scale position as I go along, right? So that's a really brief and kind of simplistic introduction to what you can do with music theory, but I wanted to introduce you to the idea that theory doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to have all sorts of complicated terms. Basically all it needs to mean is understanding how your guitar works. And you can understand it from a patterns perspective, or even just using numbers like I've just shown you, and it can stay very simple and straightforward without having to get into all the the complicated, like if you go to Wikipedia and you type in music theory and look at all the terms, it's entertaining to say the least. But you can actually approach your bass guitar from a very simple perspective that is very, very, very powerful. And I've prepared an entire lesson. It's about 2 hours long, and I really dig into the how and the why of this type of theory, this understanding of the fretboard, and how you can use numbers and intervals to really spice up your playing and to really get quite interesting on the bass. of course, the bass player needs to be holding down that root note kind of rhythm section of the band. But by and large, most bass players want to have a little bit more freedom of expression there. And you know, what's stopping you from popping out the odd riff and having some fun with it, right? And you can do that quite frequently as a bass player. Usually at the end of every phrase, you'll have a little gap where you can throw something in, and this type of theory is what's going to really enable you to get creative with those types of things. Once you understand what you're working with, then it becomes very simple to come up with new ideas. And anyways, that's what Decoding the Bass Guitar is all about. I encourage you to check it out. Head on over to bassguitartheory.com, or if you're already here on the site, you can click the link right below the video, and it'll bring you through to where you can check out the lesson. I really do think it's going to help you expand your playing as a bass player, and I guarantee it. In fact, like, I give you a full 90 days to check out the lesson, and if you're not satisfied for any reason, I'll give you all your money back. No questions asked. So that's how much I really believe this lesson is going to help you, and how this theory and this understanding of the fretboard is really going to expand your potential as a player. So go on there and check it out, and we'll see you next time.